So I'm excited about two things this week. One is the book that we're reading and we read and are discussing, The Last Bookstore with Brooke. Her friend Colette, or her writing partner and friend, wasn't able to make it today. But we got Brooke, and she talks about this book, and I loved this book. It was a young adult, Goonies meets Stand By Me meets Hunger Games, kind of great adventure, teamwork, really great book. I really loved it, but it is for kids like 11, 12, 13 years old, somewhere in there, maybe 9, 10. A little bit of scary stuff, a couple monsters, but nothing too bad. But I was so glad that my friend Brooke, who I've known for a long time, for probably 20 years, wrote a book. I was so excited. And then I called her and was like, can we do that as a book club? And then as soon as I hung up, I was like, what if the book is bad? That's really a bad call. Oh, well, I've already asked her. Let's read the book. And if the book's bad, then I just don't have to record an episode. I'll just put her off or something. But I ended up really liking it. I really, really liked it. I liked the way she told the story. I liked the characters. I liked the pacing of it. I liked everything. Obviously, I'm not 11. So it's not something I would usually read, but I loved it. So I encourage you, if you have kids in the young adult, young reader demographic, to seek it out. You can go to my website at wifeotp.com and look on the book club tab, and there's a link to Amazon on that tab. So you can just click the link and buy her book. You can also just go to Amazon and search by her last name, which is Brooke Purdy, Purdy, or you can search The Last Bookstore. Was really fun read. So highly recommend it. And I'm really excited about this episode. Second thing I'm excited about are my new house shoes. So Free Waters made house shoes named The Machine and the Mechanic. I'm the mechanic. And if you can see inside, there's me juggling all that I juggle. So in all seriousness, I had last year's version of these that I got for Christmas as a gift. They didn't give them to me. I just got them as a gift. And here's what I love about these shoes. They're really warm. They have an arch support and they have a sole. Clearly Bert's on this sole, but last year's sole was very similar, but not the same. This has a tread on it. Last year's didn't have a tread. So I can walk the dogs in it. I can take out the garbage. I can, go get something out of my car. I obviously don't live where there's snow. So for me, I don't need it to be waterproof or anything, but they're my favorite slippers. So we told them when we were talking about the Dylan, Bert was like, my wife lives in these house shoes. And they were like, well, why don't we do a machine and a mechanic version, since I'm the mechanic of the house shoes. So Bert's are gray here, and gray here like a quilted material, I think. And then there's an image of him on the inside. You can go to freewaters.com and look up the machine or the mechanic, and they are available now at freewaters.com. So if you like them, it's a great gift for Christmas. Again, they're not a sponsor. They're just something I loved, and they made these cool shoes for us. So I was super excited about that. So anyway, freewaters.com. I'll put a link on my website too. So you can go straight there and buy a machine or a mechanic for you or your significant other. Anyway, thank you for showing up every week. Thank you for all the kind comments people send me. I am so grateful. It makes my day. I read every single one of them. I've gotten so busy with Bert's emails that I don't always have time to respond to every single one of them, but I try to at least say thank you. Thank you for emailing me. I love hearing what people think and what they have to say and what they've learned while I'm learning on this podcast. And just continue to watch and listen and share. If you know somebody who you think could use any information in any of these podcasts, share it. I would love that. So, Brooke, Kirsten, Cathy, and I talk about The Last Bookstore. I hope you enjoy this book club podcast.
I'm so glad to see you. Hi.
So glad to see you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Halston, I already stalked you because I've been watching some Wife of the Party. So you guys are adorable. I mean, I love it. I've lost work and time with my children because of the podcast.
I apologize.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a good thing.
You look exactly the same. You have not changed 1 second since last
I've gotten a lot taller. You can't tell.
Me too.
I hit a giant growth spurt. I'm runway height right now. Just so you know.
Same here.
Yeah.
When was the last time I saw you?
Oh, 100 years ago. It was some competition. There was some like singing competition or something. Remember?
No.
Yes. Max was at a singing competition at some valley college or some college out in the middle of nowhere. And you guys randomly were at this school.
I have no memory of this at all. The last time I remember seeing you was in your backyard at Max's birthday party.
No, I swear we saw each other later. Maybe it was Bert with the girls. Yeah, it was at some random college in a parking lot. I know.
How weird.
I know. It was that weird and that random. And I've also seen you guys 100 years ago when I was training someone in your neighborhood. That's right.
Yes. I saw that. But that doesn't count. That's where I saw you and I went, oh my God, hi.
No, exactly. It was a drive-by. It was a total random drive-by thing.
Okay, here comes one of my ladies. Cathy.
Mm-hmm.
Cathy.
Now, is Bert still shooting the show or that's done? Is he going to do another season?
Of the cabin? Hey, Cathy. Yeah. Hello, Cathy. I don't think she can hear. No, they just shot the one season. They weren't really sure how it would be received because obviously one or two things in there is a bit dicey. So they didn't even do any press for it. They did no press. The only press they did was Bert's social media. Literally, that's it. And a little bit of Netflix on Instagram press, but no like traditional press because they were really worried. They just weren't sure how people would take it. So now that it's like, not to brag, but it's number one on Netflix.
Okay, right? It's like totally addictive because Doug and I kept being like, because it was late, like we needed to adult and shit. Like we needed to be in bed. We were like, okay, just one more. And then we were like through the whole thing. Like, right? It's great. I mean, we laughed super hard.
Thank you.
My favorite parts were you, though, when he would call you. I'd be like, look.
I don't know about that. I don't know. It's hard to make that your favorite part. I could say it was a valuable part.
It was the nostalgia. That you and the girls are my favorite parts.
How big are our kids, Brooke?
Right? Unbelievable. Like Max is in class right now where I would have him come out. He's a giant. He's taller than Doug. It's bananas. Scout is taller than me. Yeah.
Okay. Cathy, can you hear us?
I can now. Sorry. Yes,
okay.
I'm here. Hello.
And Kirsten, this is Brooke.
Hi, you guys.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi.
Cathy, can you tilt your laptop down? Yeah, there you go.
Better?
Yeah.
We want to see your boobs.
I don't have any. Sorry. Ship has failed, sister.
Show me what you got.
It's Tuesday.
I think that's a different podcast. That may be Bert's podcast.
Okay, so let me explain Brooke to you, okay? I woke up this morning and the first thing I thought of was Brooke because she's coming on today. I was in an acting class with a fellow named Arthur Mendoza, who's an amazing human being. And Brooke was in this acting class. And she was the most talented person in that class by 1,000%. And I would watch her and go,
this is the worst.
She's just the most amazing actress. I mean, like the best actor, actress, best all around. And then we got assigned to do a scene together. And I was like, she might be one of the best actual human beings on the planet. I just fell in love with Brooke. And you're one of those people I always go, why don't I ever see her? Why don't we ever hang out? I don't understand. But then correct me if I'm wrong, Doug was in acting class with you before I knew you. And then Doug was not in acting class when I was there, because I was never in class with Doug, and then he came back. Is that right?
I think there was a weird like turnover. Like we were supposed to do a scene together, like my first scene, honestly, the Beirut thing with Hector. And
well, yeah,
it was supposed to be Doug. And then Arthur bumped Doug up to the advanced scene study, and I did that scene. And then I think maybe he was in advance when we were still like
maybe.
And then he did something else, but there was a weird shift where he wasn't in class with us. And then we left for a while. We both left, and then we both came back for a while. It was a really weird thing. But yeah, y'all, I met my husband in an acting class. How weird and random.
He's such a great guy. Such a
He is. I got the
guy.
One remaining good guy in acting class.
They are few and far between.
It was like such a bad pool to cull from. Like, really? Why?
It was like the two most awesome, real, regular, down to earth, extremely artistic people came together and got married. And I remember going to your house the first time and going, he owns a house? How does that work? Like, how are you an actor and you own a house?
Oh, I Forrest Gumped right into that, y'all. I did not. I have no business owning that. Like, I got a little chunk of change from a script, and I was such an idiot. I was like, it was like 30 grand or something. Now it's like, I'm going to live on this for 4 years. Like, I had no job, no anything. Had no business owning a house. And the boyfriend before Doug, bless his heart, this is the last thing he gave me, he said, buy a house. When I got that money, he's like, why don't you buy a house? I was like, fuck that, I'm going to live for 4 years. Like, just so stupid and early 30s. I did it. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I got to pay a mortgage. I'm such a potty mouth. I'm sorry.
No,
so
please.
I realized that I had to pay a mortgage. And so I had like Monica, I had like 17. Every time someone broke up with someone, they would live with me because I couldn't pay the mortgage. So it was like the recovery house for breakups. Like Derek lived with me and Monica lived with me. Like I had 8 million roommates until I got a respectable job.
All right. And then got a husband. And then I came back later and you and Doug had remodeled your house. And I was like, they remodeled a house? They own a house and they remodeled. This is insane. How do people live like this?
Oh my God. Well,
you were like my first adult couple that was in the acting world.
If you
but
actually knew what was the reality of, like we remodeled and he had to be the general. Now, when we first got together, the toilet broke on this house one time. And he said, I had a 9 to 5 at that point for health insurance. And he said, I'll fix it. You go to work. And he was such an actor, had no business doing anything handy. And I came home like 6 hours later and the pieces of the toilet started like out by the front door. And I just followed the trail of plumbing accessories into the bathroom. And he's in there and he's red-faced and he's sweating. He's got his shirt off. There's like wet towels everywhere. He goes, I've almost got it. And it was literally like he had to change like the ball cock in the tank that Amy would do. And he had ripped apart this. So cut to, thank God he's obstinate because he taught himself like everything else. And when it came time to remodel the house, because it was literally like this tiny little 1,250 square foot house on a giant lot in Burbank. So when I got pregnant, we're like, hey, we're not stressed out enough. Let's remodel. Right. He had to be the general because we couldn't afford it otherwise. So He taught himself everything. And now, God bless him, like he's an actor, but he literally is rebuilding things for everybody in like a 20 square mile radius. Like that's how we're paycheck to paycheck with him. And I'm like teaching boot camp. So I'm a writer who teaches boot camp and he's an actor director who does handyman and construction. Thank God that we're adaptable because otherwise we'd be out on the street.
But I'm glad you said that because I think, well, first of all, I think I way fast forwarded. I didn't actually introduce you. This is Cathy and Kirsten. Sorry. I'm so excited to see you, Brooke. I haven't seen you in so long. I literally woke up this morning going, Brooke, I'm going to talk to Brooke today.
Oh, I'm babble. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I'm the one that put us on the path of Brooke.
Triggered.
But, Cathy and Kirsten and I are good friends from the neighborhood. We have kids in the same age group, and we run a Girl Scout troop together, and we're friends besides that. And we do a book club in this podcast. Like I try to hit once a month. It doesn't always work, but that's why Kirsten's also an actress.
Was
Former.
Retired.
I didn't say it very articulately. I said, if you so desired. And then Cathy used to be a social worker, and both of them are now moms. Kirsten has a lot of jobs, don't you? You have like editing job and maybe that's your only job now. Is that your only job now?
That's my only job now. Yeah. I did used to have a lot of jobs.
Right? When we first met, you were like bookkeeping or something for a therapist. And then, is that right?
I was doing billing for a therapist. Yes. And I think I had something else going on too. I don't even remember what.
So I wonder if this is the only town where everybody has a side hustle.
You got to, because so many people, like any creatives, you got to have that's like both my kids are like into the creative shit. And we're like, okay, good. Get a real gig, get a grown-up job. Like we tell Max who wants to act, we're like, okay, shoot your own shit, learn how to edit, learn how to shoot, learn how to like all the like union jobs that might carry him while he's trying to act. Oh, God help us. We knew that was coming. There was just no way to avoid it.
Is Scout interested in that at all?
Yes and no. She doesn't really want to admit it because she's a little bit like, oh, that's Max's gig. Like Max is our music and actor, and she's our artist and baker. And like, ain't nobody wants to be a fucking accountant or a lawyer. Just like all these ethereal. But God bless them. But they end up getting into it anyway because we keep putting them in movies because we keep doing our own stuff because no one else will.
But you know what? To be honest with you, that's what Bert Kreischer does.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots all his own stuff. He has for years. I mean, obviously something like The Cabin, we did not shoot or have anything to do with that. But until that time, so much of what he did or we did, he did himself. I mean, all of his social media stuff, I'm the cinematographer.
Right.
And the lighting director and the costume and the wardrobe and the makeup.
Exactly.
So it's a lesson for people. You really make your own way in the world. You know, you can't wait for anybody to give it to you because it's not going to happen.
100%.
Even
100%.
when Bert was, working for $500 a weekend, getting on any stage he could get on just to perform and hone his craft. He did that. He had to hustle and he'd shout at the door and bring people in the club that would pay so that he could get 5 minutes at the end of the night. And he's lucky. He's had a sugar mama named Leanne who worked a day job so he could do that hustle. Because that boy ain't working a day job. He ain't no Brooke. He ain't no Brooke. I mean, he's no Doug Purdy.
He's not acceptable for 9 to 5.
Nope, not acceptable. The toilet wouldn't have even been touched when I got home. He would have gone, I don't know about toilet. I don't do toilet.
Yeah, but Leanne would have handled that toilet. We all need a Leanne.
Right?
Everyone needs a Leanne.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, right? Speaking of the devil, he just tried to FaceTime me and kick me off my Zoom. Here we go. He doesn't realize I'm in a podcast. You know why? Because he doesn't read our calendar.
I have the same one. The same one. Yeah. Also, my best friend, one of my best friends of almost 30 years now, and I've been teaching the same boot camp in Burbank for, I'd say 10 years. No, 8 years. Same boot camp, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m., 4 days a week. Inevitably, she will call me at 9:35 once a week during boot camp. Like 30 years we've been friends. I've been doing the same thing for 8 years at 9:35. Yeah.
I
And
guess
always
the
be
world
surprised.
needs those people too, don't they?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. So,
Brooke, I knew that you looked familiar to me, but I think our kids went to the same gymnastics place with Mr. Alex.
Yeah, Fun and Fit.
Yeah, you look really familiar to me. And then when you said boot camp, I was like, oh, yes. Yes,
I'm the
I know
boot
where I
camp
know
lady.
her from.
Did you come to boot camp or you just knew because I had the placards all over and I was the boot camp lady for?
Yeah, I just knew because you were dressed for it. And I think I heard you talking to Alex about it.
Can I tell you something about Alex that's hilarious?
Yeah.
So Doug, my husband, is kind of cute, but this happens everywhere. So I'm momming so hard all day, every day. Like you guys know, like I'm at all the things. I show up at PTA even though I don't want to. Like I get the bulletins, I do the lunches, I volunteer, blah, blah, blah. I take her to gymnastics. Doug takes her one time. And Alex goes, oh, hi. He goes, yeah, you're here all the time. I see you take your daughter all the time. One time. And me, he's like, are you Scouts mom? I was there like for 2 years. And every time he's like, are you Scouts mom? Doug shows up one time. Same thing at school. He shows up one time for reading story time. And everybody's like, Doug.
I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't happen to me ever. Not ever. Not ever. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, Alex forgot me. That's amazing. Wait, who was your kid?
Vivian has been going for ages. She's 12. So I don't know if we were ever if our kids were in the same class or if I just saw you. You know, they always have like a million different classes going on at the same time.
Right. Oh, wow. Small world. Fun and Fit and Alex.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is a small world. Is that Max?
Yeah, Max.
Oh my God, he's huge.
I know. Look, lean down.
Hi, Max.
You're saying hi to Leanne, who I've known before you were even an idea.
Hi,
You
Leanne.
don't remember me. I saw you when you were really small. Wow.
Yeah, you're a baby.
You look exactly the same, just longer.
Oh my God, he's so long. He's like a good 2 feet taller than me.
That's crazy. Yeah. Let's talk about this book. So when did you start writing? Like this kind of writing? I know you've been writing screenplays and acting stuff for lack of a better word forever, but books.
But you should ask because this all came about because of Max. So in keeping of the spirit of, well, if nobody's going to hire me, I'm going to do my own stuff. And we were doing that back at Arthur's, like we were putting up our own plays and we were, and I was writing screenplays. I mean, that's what I went to college for. And that was always my thing because that was the one thing I could do and no one was like, you can't do this. Like you could do it independently. So I've had little random successes here and there, but never any agent, never any like flow, never any, like, it's always been on my own. And at one point Max came to me and he was like 10, I think 10 or 11. And he said, listen, my kids like love scary stuff. And of course he's going to print out like 700 pages right now, right next to me, because nothing I do is actual work or important. So that's going to happen right now while I'm telling this story. Oh my God. Hi, Bert.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Why are you on my podcast?
I know I hate to interrupt. I wanted to test my Wi-Fi speed to see if I could do Conan. I'm about to do Conan, and I just wanted to make sure my framing looked good. So I thought, what would be great is just interrupt Leanne's podcast, have Halston come on, give me the thumbs up, and say, Bert, your speed's fine.
Now, what you don't know is that he's texting me going, I need to Zoom with you. I got to test my Wi-Fi. And I'm going, I'm on a podcast. I can't Zoom. Ask someone else. He's like, but I need to test my Zoom. But I need. And I'm like, but I don't give a shit. I'm in a podcast. And he totally shanghaied my podcast. Again,
Halston,
I'm not even here.
how's my speed, Halston?
Yep.
That's good.
You look good, huh? This is a good look.
Hey, Brooke, I haven't seen you in forever, Brooke.
I know.
We were just discussing this.
Yes, and we love the cabin. Doug and I love the cabin. I was telling Leanne, we were like, oh, look, it's a bird thing. And it was like 11 at night or something. We had to both be up for whatever. And we started with the first one and ended up maybe binging the whole thing that night. We're like, oh, just one more. Oh, just one more. Like, we're totally hooked. Hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Well, look, I just came in to plug my show, test my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. Okay. All right. Love you guys, Liam. I'll see you tonight.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Excellent.
He cannot help himself. He can't help himself. He does that all the time in person.
He's wearing clothes. I mean, he's fully clothed this time. So
because he's about to talk to Conan, who probably would have a heart attack if he showed up with
Please stop the printing. Can you stop the printing? What? You need it for math right now? Do you need it in the next half hour? Because I'm so angry. Can you stop it?
I don't hear the printing. Do you guys hear the printing
right now? Can you make it not go again? No, don't put that paper in.
It comes up from under the.
You don't need it right now.
I can't relate to that either.
He asked to print it out right now. Anyway, so 100 years ago, Max loved like scary stuff, but not too scary. He was like 10, 11. And he was out at like, what were you watching at that point? Goosebumps and Haunting Hour and all that like pre-horror like stuff. He's like, Mom, can you write something for me that's spooky, like for my age? Like spooky, but not too spooky, but you know. And so I had a writing partner at the time who, I'll get to that later. She's not here today. She helped pull me out of a crazy, like weird, not writer's block, but I was just like, I was doing this weird, like I'm taking a break for years, like kind of thing. And she helped kind of kickstart that back into, I'm accountable to her. Let's just say that. And it's everything. It's everything. So anyway, with her, we would go on these like 40-mile bike rides and stuff like that. Cause we both bike and just like start to like talk out this script. And it came about, we just started talking. And of course I use my life, and Max and Scout were like Beckett and I just forgot. Jack and Beckett. They were my two leads. And so we went from there and wanted to do like kind of Goonies and a little Stand By Me, and then still have scary and this other world stuff. So it just kept growing and growing. But it was because of him that I was like, oh, we haven't seen a Goonies like thing, and we haven't seen something for this demographic in a long time. So it started as a screenplay. As a screenplay, it's so huge. Like it's these other worlds, and it's massive, and it's way beyond our like independent scope. Like that's something to sell for a lot of money, hopefully one day. But in the meantime, so we finished it and started. The only thing we can do without agents or power or famous relatives is send it to screenplay festivals or contests. And we got like crazy. We started like making this side gig. Like we got good money from a few of these festivals. It got a lot of awards. And we spent a year like just collecting money from festivals, and nothing really kicked over with it. So we didn't want to leave it. And Colette, my writing partner, she's written books and she ghostwrites for people. So she said, why don't you write a book and make it like a 4-quadrant? I don't know any of the special names. I don't know. It's like, it's something where you want to get all the monetary corners of a property. Okay. So it's like comic, show, movie, and books. So whatever. There's some fancy industry name for it that I'll never know because I'm a rube, whatever. But I loved it because as comfortable as I am with screenwriting, I had no idea. I flipped out, really, considering the book. I'm like, is this subjective? Is it objective? Am I writing in first person? Am I writing like omniscient? Like I really, she had to talk me through. And and a friend of hers said, why doesn't she just write it as the characters? And it kicked over something that I just fell in love with these characters in a whole new way, because I got to get inside them and live in it. And it was one of those, like, and I write for hire now these days, for Lifetime. Don't judge me. It's a paycheck. So, but I write for hire, but it was one of those things where, like, truly, like, it was the most amazing writing experience that I've ever had. Like, I was joyful writing these characters. Like, I would finish chapters and I would get carried away, and I would, like, all the things you want to have happen would happen in writing this book, just because I just fell in love with the story again. And it wasn't for, I hope I can send my kids to college with this, or I hope I can, there was nothing. It just became purely about the story. So that's why I love this book. And, of course, we hope that someone somewhere reads the book or something and says, this would make a great screenplay. And we could say, well, funny you should say that. We have a show diary for it. We have the screenplay. We have all these things for it. And we're just waiting for some smart, hopefully female exec to be like, chicks wrote this. This could be an amazing script directed by women. This is blah, blah, blah. And then just make everybody rich. So there you go.
That comes through very strongly. I said to my husband as I was reading it that it's very cinematic, I said, this is a movie. It's a movie or it's a TV show. Because there's, at the end, it's like, dun, 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 what next?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Yeah. It's very visual.
Your mouth to God's ears, because that's what we planned. Obviously, we wanted it for a sequel and stuff like that. And, we have a show Bible. We have, like, a whole visual thing. We have every single thing set out, but I think, like, I don't want to pick a favorite child, but the book was my most, like, it was the purest, like, kind of writer's experience that I could imagine.
I liked it.
Huh?
I liked it. I asked you if we could read this in book club about it before I read it. I hadn't read it. So after
God.
that was really stupid. Why can't I do that? I should have read it first and then.
Oh my gosh, he's a horrible writer.
Exactly. I mean, I knew you well enough as an actor to know the quality of work that you presented in class. So I was thinking it would probably be along the same lines, but literally right after I reached out to you, I was like, dumbest move ever, Leah. But I thought it was really fun. And I thought I was reading it going, this is like the Goonies. This is like the Goonies. And we have another Goonies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Goonies.
I mean, I feel like, go ahead.
I was almost thinking that, that we should have book clubbed it with, like, that you should have done it with, like, Isla and Georgia, or like some of the younger Girl Scouts, like, Adeline and somebody,
right.
Because
it's
this great, like, middle grade or YA genre story. And I would just so love to hear a kid's take on it, because it's written for them. It's, like, about them and for them. And I think that would be fun.
I love that. We have, so we sent it out to our whole village, and, like, me and Colette both just went wide with it, and all our friends' kids that read it, like, they're our favorite reviews come from them. And a lot of them are like, what's next? And that, like, that's the greatest thing to hear is, like, well, where do they go now? And that, some will attach to this character, or some will attach to that character. It's just, those are our favorite ones, are the kids. And we're trying to, like, there's a librarian who I'm courting right now at the middle school who I'm trying to get in good with. And she says she does have to go through a whole lot of stuff to get books in there. But I'm working on her as we speak.
Cathy, what did you think about the book?
I thought it was super fun. We don't generally read stuff like this. It was so off what we normally do. It was.
We really don't. We read memoirs like almost 100% of the time. And self-help.
Yeah. So it was fun.
It was fun. It was super quick. And at the end, I was like, oh, book 2's coming. Like you could tell, like it was left open for something else. So make it happen. It was good.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
I know. We're trying to ignite book 1 so we can justify book 2. Cause it's all self-published. Oh, that was the other thing is when like the screenplay wasn't doing anything. We're like, Colette's self-published before. She's like, look, this costs us very little money to do. And it's something we can do ourselves. And it's another push. And in the end, it's another, whatever the word was, quadrant or whatever. So, but yeah, that was another reason that the book came about. And I'm so glad it did. Like, again, I just kind of trusted someone else, thank goodness. And Forrest Gumped into book writing. But it was totally worth it. I still don't know what I would do with a regular book, like writing a book. I read books all the time and I can't get my head around myself writing. I'm so used to screenplay writing that it's hard to get around that subjective, objective, like who's my voice, what's my character, like flipping from that.
But you did it. I think you did it by writing each chapter from the point of view of the character at the moment. I liked that choice very much because then I got to know the character by how you wrote their voice. And they were very different. And I love that Digits was deaf and they were signing and that became something really important later. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been reading. It just so happens that the last 2 books that I read are both about memoirs by disabled authors. And there's a lot of talk in the disability community about how wrong most books and movies get it, that disability is always something like either to be overcome or else like, oh, the noble disabled person. And he was just one of the kids. And yet it also helped them. Signing became a benefit. It wasn't a detraction. It was a benefit because it helped get them out of some tight situations when they couldn't communicate otherwise. So that was really, really well done.
I fell in love with Digits in the book. Like he really cause I had an idea of him in the screenplay of his heroic likeness. He was kind of the moral compass kind of the group, and I knew that in the screenplay, but in the book, I really got to like his magnificence and his love for Beckett, was both of these things were, they got to really shine in the book.
Yeah, you can't, it's hard to show that in a screenplay. To put that on paper is really difficult. But it was all over everything in this book. I love Digits. And I love that you wrote Logan with numbers instead of letters. That was Mateo, you places.
Mean. Yeah. Mateo, yeah.
Mateo. Sorry. Mateo. Logan is Digits' brother, right? Yes, it's Mateo. And I love that Mateo was just like out to lunch. That dude was out to lunch. And I kept going, this would be Bert Kreischer in a crisis. In his dyslexia, he would be spelling things with numbers instead of letters. And he'd be like, oh, wait, what's going on? We're where? I love that character. I really enjoyed the book very, very much. For those of you, here it is.
Okay.
I thought it had a great message. I liked the message of taking care of each other and really fighting hard for someone you love and persevering over adversity. It had a lot of great messages that I think are good for kids, especially this age. And I think what we don't have so much now is what they have in their world, which is this pack of kids that are like urban cousins, right? They're all like family with each other. And I don't think a lot of people experience that these days. There's not these wide open spaces and no television, and you got to work together to get your basic needs met. And I liked that. I felt like as a child today, I could step into that world and feel like they were my friends.
I feel like our generation, and this was something that went into the beginning of it, like Colette and I on these endless bike rides talking about stuff. We you know, Max was 10, 11, and they were just moving into like his friends had phones and, you know, and it was phones and internet. And there's a huge portion, like our kids and their generation. It wasn't that, you know, get out of the house and I'll see you when the sun goes down. Like, it wasn't that everybody on the street is going to play together and, you know, get into crazy mischief and then come home. Like, it's this phone thing. And especially now, everybody's even more isolated.
Yeah.
And I would love to just tap back into that. And so that was a great use of, oh God. And I went down the rabbit hole with EMPs and like if the power grid went out and all that, like that was, I got into prepper groups, you guys. It was so gnarly. It was like I know how to like grow my own Scooby like mushrooms and like how to survive on these wild plants, like bananas. And they're out there, like it's strong, y'all.
Oh yeah, it's big.
Yeah. So, but that's how we decided to deal with that, is because we didn't want to deal with anything in the electronic age. We wanted to go back, and even back further than, you know, my childhood experience, but bring that same like kind of gift of play. And that was something about the first scene is they're just playing kick the can, which is so like throwback, but then you see him kick it into a graveyard full of bones and skeletons and like dead electronics and electronic scooters that are these like skeletal things along with actual bodies. And this is their reality. So it's a little, you know, we wanted to kind of, the new normal is like the old West almost.
Right.
So, you know, one good EMP and we could knock right back there. But yeah, we kind of wanted to bring back our childhood, that community.
So what do you think what was the most challenging part of writing this book?
Well, it came up in it's always for me, it's juggling and consistency. Like Colette she doesn't have kids though. She gets up in the morning and she uses her smart time. She writes for 2 hours and then she does the rest of her day, like her gigs, her ghostwriting and stuff like that after. I don't really schedule stuff like that. So it's been a struggle since college, finding a normal groove for writing. And usually it's either a deadline, like the gigs for Lifetime, we get in on time because we're on their deadline. So Colette will write part of it and then kick it to me and we'll kick it back and forth. So that's kind of ingrained. My own scripts, it's always been a struggle for consistency. And all I can do is I aim for 15 minutes a day. And this is from an old screenwriting teacher. I aim for 15 minutes a day. And then I'll usually, if I sit down for 15 minutes, I kick into like, I start going longer. So if I can get in 15 minutes a day, then I feel worthy. Otherwise I like start to like self-hate, like you didn't make time for this. You didn't like, I get caught up in 8 million different things, including jobs, but also like shopping and dinner and blah, blah, and pickups and stuff like that. So, it's a schedule, it's consistency. I don't have that like normal writers.
Right.
I'm just kind of real sporadic. So that was one thing. But in the rewrite, I had a friend of mine, Matthew Curry Holmes. I'm going to give him a shout out. He read a draft of the book. No, he read a draft of the screenplay and he said, you know what you need to do? You need to take it to the next level. To let people know you're serious. You need to take out one of these characters. Like one of these characters needs to be sacrificed. I don't want to spoiler alert if anybody's going to read this, but it was so hard for me because I had grown so attached to them to choose who it was.
Right.
And it was like literally, you guys, I practiced with 2 different characters back and forth, draft after draft. And finally Colette's like, you just have to pick. And I was like, fine. And so, but that was like literally, it cost me as an author. Like it cost me as a mother. Like it was very personal because they had all become my kids.
Right.
So that was the hardest thing to struggle with. And after that, I'm crazy proud of that and the screenplay. And, after that, it was all fine. Now that I did it and took that risk, I'm glad it was made better for it. It was a great note. Mm-hmm. But that was hard. That cost me. So I guess that was the hardest thing.
I could see that. I mean, I knew it was coming. I was like, somebody's dying.
That's funny. I did not see it coming.
You didn't? I did. I was like,
I was shocked when that happened. I was like, I can't believe she did that.
See,
that doesn't happen in kids' books very often. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it was really good that you did, but I personally didn't anticipate that happening. I was like, there's no way.
Bless your heart. Yeah, I didn't have it for a long time. I had everybody fine, and it was fine. Someone maybe broke a leg or whatever. We could break a leg, but no, he said, if you want people to take you seriously, if you want to invest this hard, and plus that kicked over the other characters' reactions to that, sets up their behavior for the sequel. Like how these people react to this is going to affect the next book and the next chapter of their lives. So
speaking of sequel, have you started writing?
No, I really haven't. I'm honestly, we're in, so I try and juggle a for hire gig with a love gig. And right now the personal gig is a horror script that we're trying to rewrite. So I'm in the middle of a horror script. I'm not one of those writers that can flip between like my personal things. I can't flip between a horror and this adventure. It might come up, but honestly, I don't know how or where, but energy wise, I just want to keep pushing this one. Like I want this one as a movie. I want this one as a show. I want this one and I was super close. And then, there's always like pots on the fire, but I kind of want to put the energy into getting this one made. And then when a studio is going to pay me $1 bazillion, like they're going to soon, because I'm putting it out there, then I'll sit down and, and we'll do the second one or the third or the next season or whatever. But I really kind of want to point that energy at getting this chapter out there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's a little woo-woo, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah, you want to put your energy behind this one instead of splitting your energy and adding another book to the. And the truth of the matter is, we're all limited. We only have so much bandwidth, and if your mom, wife, work for hire, writer, boot camp, author trying to push a book. Realistically, how do you wrap your head around being okay with not jumping into something that you're not ready for? If you're not ready to do it, then you shouldn't. God knows I love these characters and I know them so well, having been through so many different versions of their story. But I honestly, it's going to sound snotty, but maybe not. I want to get paid for that. Like I want to get paid to sit down and live in their world. Like right now, the scripts that are going on are either gigs for hire or the horror we can maybe sell to someone because they're looking for quick, easy shit. And this one is written as quick, easy shit. Like Shudder's always buying some kind of quick, easy shit. So we're trying to make a paycheck and then see if someone will come across with, this is the big money. This is like the brass ring for me. This book?
Well, I think that your world has already been built. It's like you've already created the worlds and you've already created the characters. And I mean, all three of us who've just blindly read it, walked out of it going, oh yeah, there's sequels. And we can all extrapolate like that. There's so many things that might happen and things that need to happen, whatever. So in one sense, you don't even need to write it yet because it's a no-brainer. It's like, of course it has to continue.
You guys, I feel like that. First of all, I feel like all women should control the entire universe. Like we're 51% of the population. I don't know why we were not flipping everything, correcting the government. Like that's one thing. I'm just like, I'll lay awake at night and I'll be like, where's our fucking revolution? Like they're starting it in Handmaids. I don't know why we can't just adopt that and fucking take to the streets. That's one thing. The second thing is I have a good idea. I have pretty good taste. Like I have pretty good taste, like in movies and books and blah, blah, blah. And with this written, I know it would make a shit ton of money for people, like a shit ton of money. I want one, preferably female executive to read it and be like, oh, this is bank right here. This is a franchise. These are books. These are movies or a show and sequels and et cetera, et cetera. Like this has fat money written all over it. And I just need one believer, hopefully, with a vagina to get in there and see that. Like, I feel like it's very apparent. And everybody who reads it says, oh, this is a movie. And I'm like, yeah. So where's that effing one executive?
Well, she hasn't found it yet. I mean, when did you publish it?
Last year, like it's almost, no, this year. March.
Yeah, March. It was this year. Yeah, it was not long ago because So it's new yet.
Yeah.
Hasn't. How have you promoted it in any way?
It's just self-promotion. Like we don't have, like if we had those connections or that big audience group, we would do it, but it's just me and Colette. Like, and she, God love her, she teaches a couple screenwriting classes and she literally assigns it to her classes. I'm going to be starting teaching a screenwriting class next month. I'm going to assign it to them. Like it's our built-in, like you have to read this and then we'll teach, we'll give them learning based on it. It's not just self-promotion, but yeah, it's everywhere we can. Like, so, it's just hoping and praying. But I mean, the older I get, you guys, the less fucks I give. Like I'll ask anybody. I've asked, my friends from college who are now famous and I've been like, look, if you want some, like, I'll kick down a finder's fee. Like, I don't care. Like, if you get this to the right person that gets it made, you can gladly call yourself an associate producer or whatever the hell you want. Like, it doesn't cost me. I'm in my house in Burbank. Those are my connections. If you're not, like, if you're an agent walking by and you say, hey, I'm an agent, we'll maybe cross paths. But I'm not going to Hollywood parties. I'm not connected. I'm not any of these things. Everything I have done has been through bootstraps and like we make our own movies or wrote my own scripts and blah, blah, blah. So I'll ask everybody, like I'll put it out there to everybody who knows anybody. If you want some money, you can take some money if you get this to the next level. I have no problem including you in the money train if you get this to the next level. And so that's where I'm at. I just put it out everywhere.
Right. Well, I have a link to this on my wifeotp.com. So if anybody listening or watching wants to read it or pass it on to somebody who thinks they might want to read it, you can go to my website and it's under the book club tab.
Halston's going to yell at me. Sorry.
And it goes, that's okay. And you can click the tab and it goes straight to Amazon so you can purchase the book. About the women running the world. Funny story, nothing to do with your book. Isla Kreischer came out of her room last night and she went, did you know that you can make a baby from bone marrow and we no longer need men? And I went, no, I had not heard this fact. I went, look it up. We no longer even need them, Mom. And I went, I think we might. I think I actually like them. So I think I need them for one or two things.
Right?
Not discussing that with you, but one or two things I kind of pick them for. They pick
up toilet repair, but other.
Right. I was like, they pick up heavy things though. I can't pick up things like that.
Who's going to open jars? Like just around the house.
So just so you know, that world is almost here.
Oh my God.
Bone marrow and we make babies all by ourselves.
I just want to find like this underground railroad that is just women and be like, first of all, because we control the finances of the household. Like we're the ones, we're the consumer. It's us. So, I mean, everything's connected to money.
Yeah.
So if we have our secret meetings in the underground and be like, ladies, start with the spending, start with the purse strings, and then we'll work our way and it'll be a full revolution. I don't know. I think about it often.
I skin the cat.
It's so funny that you say that. And then all of your characters, except for one, are male.
I know.
They're all boys.
I know. But who saves their asses? It's Beckett.
Okay, good point.
Beckett is the best shot. She's the one who saves their asses. She's the
heart.
She's the Geronimo of the group.
Yeah.
She's the heart of the group. She's the heart. She is. I skin that cat differently. I let Bert think he's in charge of everything. Oh, yeah, you're the boss. Totally, 100%. Absolutely, whatever you say. And then I do whatever the fuck I want.
Right. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
And he's like, see? I do run this show.
My kingdom.
Make it without me.
Look at the land I have created. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Good job, honey.
Excellent. Well, let's see, ladies. Do you have any questions about the book?
I have questions about your process writing with a partner. I just think it's so interesting to hear about how different writing partners work together.
We have this weird, amazing symbiosis. So, okay, it's crazy. I'm just going to try and tell this long story short. I'm teaching a boot camp. She had lost, her husband had died. And she went down this rabbit hole for a year of just Amazon and wine and all the food and shut in. And she was already like ghostwriting some stuff and had written some successful plays and stuff like that. But she was in a thing. And out of nowhere, she's meeting with this guy to direct a play of hers. His wife is in my boot camp. She's talking to him on the phone and he says to Colette, my writing partner, I'm on the phone with my wife. She's at boot camp right now. And Colette randomly, because she's super impulsive, God bless her, she randomly goes, give me the phone. And she gets on the phone with my client who's in the boot camp. She said, what's this boot camp? Tell me about the boot camp. And so randomly, she just shows up the next day. She is way out of shape. And of course, that's one of the days that I make them run a mile. And she hates running so much that she ran a mile. And I'm just there. Like, I'm like, you can walk it. You can, like, you just got to go around this block one time and come back. Said, you can walk it. You can curse me. You can do whatever. It's great. But we are going to get this distance in. And she ran it with this look on her face that I came back like to the backyard where we were to the other clients. And I was like, you guys, I'm pretty sure the new girl wants to kill me. She's like, and she hated me, bona fide hated me for a good, she says 3 weeks. I think I got in there sooner. But anyway, when she stopped hating me, I saw that she was a writer and had like stuff behind her thing. And I had all these scripts in my like file cabinet that I wrote and then was done with. And I knew that they could go somewhere if I rewrote them and stuff like that. So when she stopped hating me, I said, listen, if you look at my scripts and help me rewrite them to make them effective and, you know, et cetera, and help me formulate these ideas, basically kick back into writing. Cause I had walked away, you guys, like with kids and stuff like that and trying to make a living. I had walked away. And if you do that for me, I'll get you in shape. And so it was like a trade. So we did. And what happened is we found that we really liked each other's voices and rhythm, and we got along so well. And it was easy to say, like, that's a stupid thing. You do this, go there. Like, no problem. Like, speaking.
You didn't take anything personally.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, I am all character and dialogue, and she is a structure queen. She'd be like, you can't have this here. This needs to happen on this page, blah, blah, blah. It was a perfect marriage, not just a personality, because she's one of my best friends now. Like, she is Auntie Coco to my kids. Like, she's family. But writing wise and artistically, it was such a great marriage, because she'll say, I just wrote this book. She'll be writing something. She'll say, this isn't funny at all. Make this funny. And I'll make it funny. Or she'll say, this dialogue sucks. Make it better. and I will say, here's all this talking and all these characters, make it work in a structure. And she'll like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, it just was the right partnership for the right time. So ultimately that's what it was. She had these pieces of the puzzle and I had these pieces. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, so now what we do is we'll trade off. Like I'll write almost stream of consciousness, you guys, and I'll let the characters take me away and blah, blah, blah. And I'll know where I'm going, but I don't hit the right beats. I do what I call write through it. Mm-hmm. Like I'll write through stuff. And sometimes my dialogue is too long and I'll repeat myself, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just send it to her when I hit a stall and she'll look at it and she'll go, this goes here, cut this, move this, blah, blah, blah. She's magic. Mm-hmm. And she'll send it back like all tightened up. Mm-hmm. And when I'm done pouting, I was like, well, I like that line. And when I do my like arty farty whining and get over it, it's perfectly laid out. So she's a gift, like literally just a gift. And that got me into regular writing. And it's because of her that we do this lifetime gig. And and my IMDb has these 8 bazillion credits on it because of her. Like I wouldn't do that. That wouldn't have happened if it weren't for her. Because of her, I can turn around stuff and work on a deadline. Before I was all like emotional about it. Like, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. And I didn't feel it for like years. So thank God she came around.
It's nice to have a partner. It's nice to have someone you trust and someone that if you cannot take anything personally, that is the key, I think, to any working relationship. If the point is to have the best product, then you can't take anything personally because then you know that other person just wants the best product too.
Yeah.
So then that ego can go outside and hang out on the front porch while you're working on something, you know?
Right.
Ego is important. I think ego has a role in everybody's life in some capacity, but sometimes when you find a good partner, this is one of the ways Bert and I are really good partners when we talk about his work. I don't write anything for him at all, ever, but right. I do go, this is in the wrong order. This needs to be here. That needs to be over there. Why do you say fuck 15 times in one sentence? Can you say it once and put an actual word in place of fuck, please? And then, so I don't write anything for him, but I am Colette in that I'll say, this isn't working the way you have it structured.
Right.
So, and he never taken it personally, ever. Yeah. And so then you go, well, that is someone who just wants the best product.
Totally. And I mean, and God bless her I think we're close enough. It's one of those perfect timing, perfect person things where like every now and then we'll get butthurt. Like I'll be like, oh, that line was so good. Why are we cutting that line? She'll be like, this isn't in the right place. Why do you keep moving this? Like we'll have our little hissy fits, but we all come back. It's usually when we do actual phone calls instead of texts. Like an actual phone call is because one of us is pissy about something or there's just too much to digest. But yeah. But again, it's accountability. Like that's a huge thing too. Like if I'm accountable to her, like that's also the reason why I'm in business still since 2008 with the boot camp.
Right.
Like I'm good at what I do, but there's a million people out there who live it. Like this is they eat, sleep and breathe fitness.
Yep.
This is me. Like I got a whole other world going on. This is, I'm good, but I'm in business still because people are accountable.
Right.
Like I'm their accountability person to stay fit and keep exercising and blah, blah, blah. But that was this for me with writing. She was my accountability person.
Yeah.
Accountability. Yeah.
That's a huge piece of it to have a deadline, especially for artistic types. You know, the artistic brain needs a deadline. You know, Bert, I'm shooting a special November 20th. How do I back into that date? Until he has that date, he always delivers a good show, but he doesn't put the crafting work in until he knows it's this date. The rest of the time it's just open and free flowing and fun and everybody enjoys it. It's not that it's not enjoyable, but it's very different to be at a live show than to watch something on Netflix. Those are two different things. So if you don't have it structured right, people will turn it off. Whereas you go to a live show and you've paid $35 and you've bought 2 drinks, you're not leaving.
Right. You're in.
You're going to
You better entertain my ass.
Exactly. And you have to, in a live show, you have to build in rest. So you don't want any rest on something that's filmed.
Right,
so
right.
The structure totally changes. But if he didn't have that deadline of filming that, he would just keep the ebb and the flow and the rest and the whatever and the improv and the loose, which is really fun too, but different. Anyway, that's a completely different tangent. Cathy, do you have any questions for Brooke?
No, I'm like the non-writer in this group. Like that makes me so stressed. I would never, ever want to do that, put pen to paper. So I'm just sitting here enjoying. I have to say what I really liked about the book, I love how you wrote in each character and how like you saw a different perspective, but that sort of edged the story along each chapter. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the book, or of the structure, I guess. I don't know. Again, I don't know shit about writing. So
no, that's excellent. And thank goodness, I feel like thank goodness we had the screenplay already because I knew what was going to happen. And again, Colette with her structure, she'd be like, you're going to tackle, a Logan chapter, but in his chapter, he has to get the kids from A to B to C. Right. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd go at it and she'd be like, yeah, but we're not there yet. Like, or just, again, it was a way that partnership worked so well with helping me keep my eyes on the prize. Like I can procrastinate, you guys. Oh my God. I just this year left-ish Facebook. Like I have gotten into some fights. I have lost friends. I have been stalked. I have it finally took, and God bless my husband. He's in the background just going like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, why are you reading the comments?
Why are you saying that? Is because Facebook would distract you?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Everything will distract me. I have fucking OCD, you guys. You want to know about the pine needles from the wind on the front of my house and how it's basically, if you know someone with OCD and you want to drive them insane, just blow a bunch of pine needles up into their rose bushes or whatever.
That's not true. I live with someone with OCD and he is the dirtiest man on the planet.
So it's not, okay. That's so bad.
It's about rituals.
Yeah. It's not the light switch kind of like repetition OCD. Mine is, you think that throwing the pillows on the ground when you go to bed, when I get up in the morning and walk out through the living room, you believe that it's a choice for me to walk past those pillows or not. And it is not a choice. It is, those pillows will keep me up. Like it's weird shit like that. Like my husband will put stuff up on a top shelf and I will have to go through heaven and earth to get it down because it doesn't go there. And he's just torturing me. Like it's a weird, anyway. Anyway, I'm just saying I can procrastinate and it's usually like cleaning. Like, oh, look, I'm going to get all the dust bunnies out of this power strip. Like what?
Right.
I should be writing. So thank God for Colette and, paying gigs and stuff like that where I have to power through.
Right. You have to sit down and focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I just enrolled in a creative writing class at UCLA Extension. I haven't written anything in years and years and years and years. For the same reason, because I don't have time and I needed accountability.
Totally. And it's so amazing. It's such an amazing, I've been to a lot of writing classes, like for the same thing. Like, I don't know that structurally they're giving me any new information. I went to college for this. Like I have all the information in there. It's just, I need you to say, you're going to get to this page by this time, go. Like, then I'm good at homework. I'm just not great at self-policing.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I feel like if it's wide open and have no parameters, it never happens.
I think that's amazing. I think, yay.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. I haven't written in so long, and to have each week, this is about creative writing and about creative. It's called narrative nonfiction. So it's all about things that actually happen in your life. So they all have to be fact-based, right? Something that actually happened, but it has to be told creatively, like you're writing like you're writing a fiction. So every week we have a prompt or a focus. Like one week the focus was the scene. What's going on around you? One week the focus was dialogue. And so that challenge has been really great for me because I go, oh, I got this. And they don't tell you what to write about, just that the focus has to be scene or dialogue or descriptions or rhythm or whatever. And I've just really enjoyed sitting down and using that muscle again and writing only 750 words. That's all I can turn in.
Right.
Is not that much. I mean, I find myself writing like 1,000 words before I even realize I've started writing, you know?
Yeah.
That's been really great. So
it's so huge.
It is huge. I've been meaning to write down stories from my life for years. Growing up in rural Georgia, I have a ton of, interesting.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. I was going to say, just from knowing you and talking to you, hearing you tell in your voice through your lens stories from growing up.
Yeah.
It's I would live there so quickly.
Aww.
Like I love your voice and you telling this stuff.
Well, thank you. Well, it's really fun. I really like it. But that accountability is everything. So I wonder, not everybody listening to this is a writer or wants to be a writer. Some of them are Cathy Fromkins who are terrified of pen to paper. I get it. So how does one apply that to what you want to do, right? How do you find accountability for working out, for building your house, for getting a new job? You know what I mean? How do you do that?
I don't know. I do know. I don't know. It could be find someone. I mean, Colette and I started our own podcast about writing, and it's called Midlife Mutiny. It's called Midlife Mutiny.
Midlife Mutiny. Okay.
Yes. And it's about not waiting for permission. Like, because we've done movies on our own, we've done books and screenplays and all this stuff on our own. We got the Lifetime gig on our own, all of this without agents, without one single like nepotism connection, nothing. So, but it's about not waiting for permission anymore. So in the podcast, it's pretty much writing based, but we talk about like how you approach this, how you work for hire, how you blah, 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 how you pull the Band-Aid off an idea and just start writing about that idea. But I think that it can be applied to
life.
To life. Like a lot of it is just, why not? Like, what are you waiting for? Like, why not? And if you don't know anything about, like my husband couldn't fix the toilet and he built a house. Right. And it was only through sheer like stubbornness and will. Like he's on video and he's asking people and he's learning through like doing. It's I think it can be applied to anything if people stop waiting for permission. And that's the theme of the podcast is stop asking for permission and especially women. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like,
so
you want to.
Question for me: how do you pull a Band-Aid off a creative idea?
I say start writing about it. Like, if like I had a script. This script that I'm writing now was based on one image, like the first image that I had when I was just riding my bike. And so that image sparked, I was like, oh, this is going to be the first scene. And then from that, a whole script was born. But it's kind of just diving in. Like there's something about, let's say, a childhood experience that happened to you. And there's something emotional that keeps it in your head. So there's something that if you can start writing about it, or you can film a scene about it, like if you're a director or, or if you're a cinematographer, if you can film an image from it, there's something that's going to tap into the emotional connection. Mm-hmm. So you need to keep, kind of gross analogy, but picking that scab until you tap into that. Right. Is what I think. I think just keep poking it and stop stop worrying about what other people think, really.
Well, that, and I think too, just starting.
Yeah. And
start.
And again, the accountability, like F it, announce it to all your friends. Say, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Like, let's say, if you say, I'm going to quit smoking, and then all your friends see you still smoking, you're going to feel like an ass. So just be accountable. Like if you say, I'm going to write this short story, can you all just ask me about it next week? And then next week they say, how's the short story going? And then you're going to feel kind of stupid because you're there with a cigarette in your mouth, or you know what I'm saying? Like you haven't started.
So you put
I have a friend who has an accountability group. Her group, they all have different goals. One wanted to be a professional chef. One wanted to be a professional comic, and like all very different realms. And they met once a week as an accountability group because they knew that they weren't going to find what they had together was a special friendship. And they all really they had a lot of ambition and they all really had a lot of drive, but they couldn't really harness that. So they met once a week and just helped each other say, okay, well, your goal for next week is you've got to reach out to this person and you've got to, or do that writing or whatever it was. And they all really went on to do some really cool things. I
think that's brilliant.
I love that idea. I've always wanted like an accountability group. Where's my accountability group?
I think it's brilliant. And I feel like, especially with parents, you guys, like there's so much to do and so much like emotional availability and so much that takes from us that there's within every parent, there's 2 to 3 dreams or little nuggets of things that they've kind of put on the back burner. And I feel like it could be anything. It could be like, I want to repaint, the back bedroom, like whatever. If there's a group of people and someone's going to show up next week and be like, how's the bedroom? And you're going to be like, nothing. Or you could be like, I did the moldings. Like,
right.
Do you know what I mean? Every parenting is so hard. It's so hard, especially right now. Everybody's home and up in each other's business. Yeah. So I feel like anything that you can grab as your own individual self, like any nugget of there's something in there that's itching for you to explore. Tell people. You don't have to go to bed with it. It's not a secret. Like, just be like, I want a fucking belly dance, you guys. And next week you ask me about what I learned online about belly dancing and I will show you what I learned. Like, I don't know. It's so
after I've gone to Brooke's boot camp. After. It's my belly in shape so that you want to see it dance.
I'm just saying it's so easy for us to put that stuff aside. And
totally. I went to this other acting school, not with Brooke, where we had to have admin meetings. So once a week, we were separated into groups of like 5 or 6 people, and we had to go to admin. And in admin, you would say, this is what I'm doing for my acting career. I'm writing my own project. I'm sending out headshots in the day when you just cold mail headshots out. I'm calling this friend who just got cast in this job to see if they can get me on as an extra or whatever. And you had to say to the group what you were going to do that week and what happened from the past week. And people would remember and like take notes on your stuff and then ask you about it the next week. It was called admin.
It's effective. It sounds... It sounds pretty Scientology. I'm not gonna guess the class that you were in, but I'm pretty sure I did a little round in that same class.
Yeah. It's admin, but admin was really helpful because I thought, well, can't you just do admin for yourself? Can't you just say, all right, Monday morning, I'm sitting down with my pad and paper and going, here's what I got to do this week, and just do that. But it's easier and better, I think, sometimes if you have another person that you're like,
totally.
What happened? So you're working on a horror script.
Yes.
The last script I wrote was horror. I did not want to write it. And because I live with that stuff. I live with it. I could not sleep. I could not deal with it. And I ended up quitting in the middle of the job and giving the money back to my partner. I don't know that. I don't think I did give my money back. I think she told me I could keep it. I don't think I paid her back. But I was like, I can't do it. I cannot do this project.
Some people can't. It's It's a specific kind of talent to be able to dredge up, like, and that's what I'm saying. That image was so horrible. And you guys, I have this whole secret life, like all my anxiety, I deal with all my anxiety through exercise. So I'm on the bike path, like I'm either biking or running 24/7 because otherwise I would kill people, like literally. So, but all my escapes are with podcasts, and I'll listen to true crime. And it's the most horrific, like gruesome stuff that you could imagine. And I'll listen and it's fantastic. And I'll get caught up in these crimes and whatever. And then I come home and I unplug and I kiss my kids and I'm a mom again. Like it's really this weird double life, but I'm okay with writing the most heinous of stuff and being totally separate from it. Like,
I love true crime podcasts. Yeah. Cathy, you like? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's been the best ones you've listened to? Anybody?
I love Case File.
I was
The
just
Australian
going to say
guy.
that. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite. He has the best voice ever.
Right? And he's just the facts. Like too many, like I will pass by I'm glad for their success and their females and whatever, but too many people, I don't want you to audition on this. I want the crime and I want the details. I don't want your funny jokes. Like I'll listen to a funny podcast if I want your funny jokes. I want my crime straight up. I want the facts. I want the story. And if you can do it in a lovely Australian accent as we go along our, that's why I love him. He's straight.
I haven't heard that one. I have been, believe it or not, I've been off the podcast circuit for months. I haven't listened to any for literally a long time, to the fact.
Me too. It's been quarantine.
It's funny. This is the only one I've listened to during quarantine.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
It's because I don't drive anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
I always
Mine's all dog walks and bike rides. Like it's all that's my little escape. Like nobody knows that that's how I go calm down. That's so ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
It's a little demented. Like I'm going to go chill out to this murder thing. Like
no, but what is it about that? Because, I just heard something. I don't even remember where I heard it, but it was a statistic saying that a majority of the people listening to true crime podcasts are women. So why are women as a demographic or more interested in true crime?
I think for me, there's a couple of reasons. I feel like, for one, it's so horrific that it puts my life in perspective. It gives me some perspective on like, oh, I got to go into an IEP meeting. Not the end of the world.
Both arms. I'm good.
At least my head is attached to my body.
Yeah. And there's that. But then the other thing is that I think also as a parent, I feel like I'm constantly solving mysteries. Like, we're getting to a diagnosis of something. We're figuring out the learning styles. I'm sleuthing out a better specialist to deal with this. I feel like I'm a sleuth.
Is that weed? Is that weed? Is that part of your sleuth? I'm joking. Your parenting sleuthing. What's going on? Is someone?
Yeah, well, maybe that will be someday. But yeah, there's just so much sleuthing that goes on. So it's kind of like a detective story or a putting together the pieces of a crime is appealing because it sort of speaks to that part of my brain where I'm like, okay, putting the clues together. I don't know.
I know mine.
What's yours?
Mine, and I know this because of what I've gone through with the podcast and what I stick with and what I don't. I stick with the ones that have an ending and a resolution. I feel like for me, there's so much like that's unresolved, and you don't go through a day and do things that have a beginning, middle, and end. That's very rare in daily life.
Yeah.
So if I can compact in an hour a narrative that is a story that I can get caught up in, that has a beginning, middle, and an end, and justice usually at the end for the perpetrator.
Justice is Case Files.
Case Files has an end. Like there's some sometimes I listen to Generation Y. And those dudes are chill and everything, except they'll have a lot of unsolved cases. And those make me kind of bananas because those stay with me. Like, I'm like, well, what happened to her? Like, those will itch at me.
Right.
Case File, they're usually resolved.
Right.
He usually isn't like, and we don't know where they are today. Like that makes me bananas.
Right.
So I know that for me, I'm listening to ones that are beginning, middle, and end, and they're usually resolved.
Right. So Cathy, why do you think you listen to true crime?
I don't know why I listen to, but interestingly, I had a conversation with somebody this weekend who their senior in high school, now in college daughter did a research project on this very subject, and why all of that age group was sort of listening to true crime. And she discovered it was sort of fear-based. Like they were trying to gain this knowledge to feel more control over their lives and being out in the world, which I thought was really fascinating. I don't know how accurate it is. It is this, senior thesis that they did in high school, but it was really interesting that that was sort of the conclusion that she came to. So,
yeah, that is a fascinating perspective, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
I could see that.
Well, segue into sort of a not off topic, but sort of not. Georgia had her first fender bender yesterday.
Oh no, bummer.
Trying to get it done.
She got her car like 6 weeks ago. So yeah, got to get it done. But she, we had told her before she got her car, if you ever have an accident, no matter whose fault it is, if your car is drivable and you're not injured and everything's safe, pull over to a safe place like a parking lot or side of the road, somewhere safe out of traffic, put on your hazards, and make sure you share your information, your driver's license and your insurance, and get that from the other driver. Take a picture of the car, of the license plate, of the insurance card, anything like that. So she calls me yesterday and goes, I had a fender bender. I was like, what happened? She was stopped at a red light, waiting to turn right. And someone pulled out of the 7-Eleven parking lot and hit her. She was stopped at the red light. So the 60-some-year-old white guy gets out of his car and starts screaming at her, screaming. And she's like, this was not my fault. I was stopped at a red light. You hit me. She did everything I'd asked to, put her hazards on and everything. This was in front of a 7-Eleven, which is next to a laundromat. It's right around the corner from my house. If those of you who live in my neighborhood probably know exactly where it is. It's like 2 blocks up.
Uh-huh.
So this African-American guy comes running out of the laundromat and gets between Georgia and the white guy and says to the white guy, this is a 16-year-old kid. This is her first accident. You need to stop yelling at her. You need to back up, and you need to have an appropriate distance from her, and you need to treat her like she's 16 years old and stop acting like an asshole. And
Did
I
you hear that? Did the guy?
This guy. He did. He stopped. He shut up. And Georgia was then able to say, here's my license and my insurance, and got his. And this fella just kind of intervened and then went back in the laundromat. And I went back and tried to find him, and he was gone. So
bless his heart.
I was like, thank you. But Georgia was like, you see that kind of stuff on Criminal Minds. He was backing me into my car. This white guy was just backing me up, and I was about to have to sit down in my car. And the whole time I was thinking, this is the way this happens on Criminal Minds. He's going to put me in my car. I was like, okay, thank God for this guy who came to your rescue, because her brain had stopped functioning because she's watched too many episodes.
Oh, right.
And think she's getting abducted in this fender bender.
It's happening. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I thought it was funny that that's where her brain went. This was just like Criminal Minds. I was about to be abducted. But thank God for that guy. I don't know. I'm sure he does not listen to my podcast, but to the world, thank you for a kind citizen who was just minding his own business, watching what was going down, and
Who was a helper
to help her, because I feel confident in the middle of the street, nothing would have happened to her bad. But it's terrifying to have your first fender bender that's not your fault and have some adult man yelling at you in the middle of the street. It's terrifying.
Oh, it's so inappropriate. So
Inappropriate. But she was fine. She wasn't very shaken up. She was very grateful for this fella who came.
Good girl.
So thank you, God, and whoever was watching over her and sent that little guy. Because I literally went back. I was like, I got a Starbucks gift card. I was going to go give him a gift card. Be like, thank you so much. And he was gone. So I was really bummed. But yeah, it was really funny.
Oh my God.
It's like an episode of Criminal Minds.
Well, Max is it's never going to happen to me because Max is never going to finish his driving course. He could not. I mean, for me, my license, like I started driving like illegally at like 12 and 13. So I'm I'm a different person, but he could care less. He's like, I could just get a ride from you or play music or something else. I was like, I don't understand.
At some point, I'll have a girlfriend that drives, and then it won't matter then either.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Anyway, so sort of off topic, but that's my daughter's first thought was.
I'm glad she's okay, and I'm glad she met a great citizen.
Yeah, I was very grateful for that great citizen too, because that's cool. Not cool. And there's part of your brain as a parent where you go, that's super scary, and I wish that had never happened. And there's part of my brain that goes, what an amazing thing for her to experience. Mm-hmm. That some random citizen, that good people exist and bad people exist. She had it all in one moment. One really nasty, bad person and one really amazing, great stranger. And that's how the world works. And what an amazing thing for her to have to go through, where it broke her taillight. It broke her taillight. It scratched her bumper. It's not the car. Obviously, she drove it home. There's nothing really bad. Not that you want your kids to go through anything like that, but it really was not a big deal. And it's
out of the way. I feel like as soon as you get your license, you should just shove a shopping cart into your car and be like, there, done.
That's so funny. That's what someone told me yesterday when I told them that she'd had a fender bender. And he said, my mom always said, well, now you can drive like you really want to drive.
There you go. It's out of the way
like this, like, oh, I don't want to scratch the car.
Yeah, it's done. Just rip off the Band-Aid.
Yep. And now you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's wrap this up, ladies. How do we wrap it up? Buy the book.
Mm-hmm. Get the book and talk to all your giant producer friends, because if you are instrumental in getting it to the next level, you will be compensated. You will be compensated. I'm putting it out there on Leanne's airwaves.
Well, I think that if you give it to your young adult kid, they love it.
Absolutely. So more than me getting paid, whatever. Kids. If you read it and like it, if you could leave us a review, those count for a lot on Amazon. And we really, really are interested in what the kids have to say. Like, I would love to say just my kids loved it and that's enough. But I love every review I get from kids because they have such an amazing, like, unfiltered perspective that it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And the way you described this when we were just starting the podcast, sounded like this was really a labor of love for you, that you really loved it. And it's always nice to hear feedback when you've put your heart into something that you really love and you're proud of. So I don't have a problem with negative feedback if it's constructive, but I don't see any point in leaving anything negative. If you didn't like the book, then don't like it. But if you liked it, say you liked it, because
some people make that their job. Like, we did a movie, Quality Problems. Yeah, we did a movie, and it's like literally a labor of love about a family and breast cancer. Like, there's no real controversy in it. There's nothing. And we've had people be like, "This movie's bullshit." I'm like, really?
I get it too on this podcast. She needs to stop being a hanger-on. She's just a hanger-on. And I'm like, a hanger-on to who?
What?
So what are you talking? There's my arms in my chair. Get me through this podcast.
Just me. But people literally make a career. But that was part of getting off Facebook. It was like, do not read the comments. Do not read the comments. Do not read the comments. Get off of Facebook. I tell you guys, my anxiety is like down, way down.
It's bad for the person who's writing the negative stuff. If their only intention is to be negative, what they don't realize is it's really bad for their own heart and soul. It's really bad. It just perpetuates negativity. So I don't know. Leave a good review if you have something good to say, because I like positivity. Feed off the positivity. And I think it would be really hard to get a bad review. I thought it was really good. I thought it was easy to read. It was very fast read.
Right.
I thought it was interesting in that each chapter was each character's voice. I thought it was a creative way to tell a story. It was a world we'd never seen. It reminded me of Goonies. I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. There's nothing it was really fun. The only thing bad is that I'm not 11. So for me, I was like, I totally get how an 11-year-old would love this book.
Oh, yay. We're very proud of it. We're very proud of it.
Well, thank you for talking to us. Ladies, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Congrats. Like, you did it. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's true.
Thank you guys for letting me blather at you and for reading it. That's huge. And I do believe that it's very palatable. It's an easy, quick read. It's not like,
it's not too scary. It's not, it's just scary enough.
Right. Right.
I thought you did a great job. I'm so proud of you and happy for you, Brooke.
Oh, well, ditto. I love seeing you on my screen when I can tune in. That's awesome. It's like a home cooked meal.
My hanger on gig. It's my hanger on gig.
Yeah, you hang on. What? Yeah, because podcasts are launching us into the stratosphere of fame and fortune. Right.
Oh, you mean my 0 sponsorships? Yeah. Those 0 sponsorships.
Because my self-published book is just, I don't have time for you.
Totally. Well, thank you, Cathy and Kirsten. Thank you guys for reading.
Thank you guys.
For discussing. I appreciate it. Thank you, Brooke, for coming on. And thank you, everybody else who's maybe read the book already and listened to the podcast. And if you haven't, give it a read. It'll be fun. I promise.
Yes. Last Bookstore on Amazon.
Yes. And there's a link on my website under the book club tab. So if you forget everything about it, you can just go to wifeotp.com, click on the book club tab, and there's a link that sends you straight to Amazon. So
yay.
Go get it.
Very proud of you.
All right. Proud of you too. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye. It was nice meeting you.
Bye.